Hi, I'm Morgan Flores, Senior Director of Performance Marketing here at Clutch, the largest online B2B services marketplace. Make sure you subscribe to this page because every episode we bring on a myriad of different experts on different aspects of scaling your business. So make sure to give it a subscribe. But very excited today to be here with Robyn Hartley. We're talking about something that's been on my mind a lot, and I'm sure it's been on the forefront of many leaders' mind these days, which is AI. So we'll deep dive into AI and potentially like over reliance, what that means, implications for the business, and potentially like how that is harming authenticity. But excited to talk to you, Robyn. You are the founder of Paper Kite Media. And Robyn actually specializes in thought leadership and content marketing for B2B companies at a global level. So thanks for being here, Robyn.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Great. Well, before we dive in, Robyn, can you just take us through maybe a story of how you began your career in development and what really encouraged you to build your own company?
Yeah, of course. It's a wonderful question. So I have worked in marketing for over a decade now. I think it's about 12 years or so. So I've had both client side and agency side experience within that. The majority is sat within B2B, supporting kind of large enterprise tech organizations. And yeah, in recent years, I started to have this longing to want to build my own thing. And, when looking at the market in general, I could see that, over the past 5 years or so, we've seen social media take such a more prominent role in that decision-making process for buyers. Influencer marketing within the space is growing and evolving very rapidly. There's more engaging thought leadership, which is amazing to see. And that sales journey as well looks very different to what it did like 5, 10 years ago. But ultimately, the thing that's always rung true is that people trust people. And so as someone, I've always been pretty active on LinkedIn as well. So I've seen firsthand those opportunities that I've had professionally off the back of being more visible within the industry and staying front of mind. So I could see that that would be massively valuable to teams, B2B brands themselves, and the individuals that work for them. So I decided to take the leap and started out on building my own business, which, like you say, is dedicated to helping B2B brands with adapting to all of the changes that I just mentioned, and earning that trust with buyers in a really authentic and helpful and valuable way, and supporting their teams to grow their personal brands, professional presence within the industry at the same time.
That's awesome. And it looks like when I was on your website earlier and checking it out. You work with clients all over. Is that right? Like,
Yes. Yeah, so predominantly UK focused as I've started out, but yeah, there's certainly and previously everything that I've done has always been, like when I've worked agency side, has always been on a global scale. So yeah, I'm connected with people all over, and yeah, certainly look to kind of expand those opportunities as I work with people. So yeah.
awesome. Well, that's great to hear. Really commendable. Just anytime someone starts their own business, it's a huge leap of faith, and it's exciting to see it working out for you and all the knowledge that you have to share with others.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
So let's get into it. Let's talk about AI. Everybody's talking about it still. I feel like we'll be talking about it for the next few years, and certainly how quickly it's moving and how we have to keep pace. But when working with other brands and their strategies, what discussions are you having regarding AI? Like maybe the most common questions you're coming across.
Yeah, and I think before I dig into that, I think it's probably worth saying that I speak a lot around the need for authenticity in a world where AI is so accessible with when it comes to generating content. But I also want to say that AI is massively beneficial to do the things that we do on a day-to-day basis and saving us time. Even from like supporting audience insights to analyzing trends within the industry. It might be topic discovery or benchmarking, even editing and optimizing video content that I put out for myself, but also work with clients too. So, it's saved hours and hours of time, which is hugely valuable. So those mundane tasks can you can get through much quicker, which is incredible. But because of the accessibility of the likes of ChatGPT and other tools that are on the market, we've also seen a real spike in content that is very clearly generated by AI, and people are almost relying on it as a bit of a crutch because it's just that easy. And I know there's lots of conversation on LinkedIn at the moment around the use of the M dash or the Oxford comma, and you can tell if something is AI generated from those things. But I personally have always been taught to use the Oxford comma. I'm a big fan of it, so I don't I take that with a pinch of salt.
Don't take my M dash away either. Like
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
well, that's mine.
exactly. This is what I mean. I think a lot of people who write use those anyway, so I don't listen to that. But what I am talking about is really flat, kind of generic vanilla based content that actually lacks that substance, and it lacks that human tone that comes with it. You know, we're all very discerning. I think we can kind of tell immediately if it's not written by the person that's published it. So the majority of conversations that we're having is mainly just like, okay, how can we use AI in a really productive way to save people time and improve processes, as I said at the start, but then also then giving them tools and the ways of thinking that still maintain that human touch to the content that they're producing. Because ultimately that's how you build connection with your buyers. That's how you build trust. That's how you build resonance.
Yeah, absolutely right. I feel like that is a big topic right now is how do you remain authentic and create those authentic relationships with buyers with AI just at the forefront. And so you don't sound like everybody else, because if you do what everyone else is doing, it's just one note. It is very bland. And
Yeah.
so that kind of leads me into my next question. Do you feel like there are companies out there that have maybe sullied their reputation to an extent, or like had some opposition in terms of like they just got caught being really not authentic and true to themselves? And other part of that is like, what strategies or approaches do you recommend to really make sure that you're using it responsibly and remaining that subject matter expert?
Yeah, I think, and I think you're exactly right. I think the market is going that way. I think there are a lot of brands who really understand the role of social media now within B2B buying, and employee advocacy is a huge part of that. It's a massive opportunity for both the brands themselves, being able to leverage the networks of the people that work for them, but also the individuals themselves, and being able to increase their credibility within the industry. And there are always naturally going to be barriers to that, right? So, their teams are busy, they don't have enough time, they're common objections that you get. They don't know what to write, maybe they don't feel that confident posting. And so that's where the use of AI suddenly feels like a really great option, because it's quick, it's easy, it kind of gets people posting and posting content. But it's almost rewards that quantity over quality, which that's where you get into a place that not only are you not standing out, because if your competitors are producing really authentic content, you're missing an opportunity and you're kind of falling into the background, but you're also potentially damaging your reputation as well. And I think this is something that people don't really think about enough, because it just shows that you haven't taken that time to personalize your content and to think about the problems that your buyers are facing. And there's if you're generating content from AI, yes, that can give you probably a base, fine, but it doesn't have that really deep understanding of the market like you do. It's not having the day-to-day conversations with your clients, your buyers, your prospects, the challenges they're facing, and what you should be talking about, and what your individual perspective is on that. So that can have a real knock-on effect on things like invites into RFP processes, sales cycles. There's all sorts it can influence. So it's not all kind of just the number of likes you get or the comments you get, and all of this. It's actually your reputation. And I think that's so yeah, there's definitely some companies that I can see where they've rolled out advocacy programs and they maybe rely a bit too heavily on the AI. But I think as we progress, I think we'll start to see companies using that a lot more productively, and actually then training their teams to be authentic and to give them the strategies to go out and feel confident being more present within the industry if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, something I've noticed too is, in B2B, I feel like it's a little bit different, but video, like using video to really establish that has been like
Yes.
killer for some of those brands that are doing it. And like, I feel like B2B, you don't see as much of that, but the ones that have started to like play in that field are seeing really great engagement.
Yeah, you're completely right. And I think there's you can't really, I mean, it's very difficult to rely on AI when it comes to the video content, right? And I think there's, not everybody will feel confident on video, and that's also totally fine.
Right.
But it's that person to person. And when you have someone talking in front of you, you're like, oh, I feel like I know that person, and it drives that resonance, as I said. But yeah, in terms of other strategies, I think it's just, there's the biggest things that I would say are kind of time, training, and opportunity, like making time for development, promoting learning within the team, encouraging them to go to conferences and things like that. Not only does that expand their knowledge on the market and kind of grow different perspectives, but you get to meet others within the industry. It gives you something to talk about within your content. Encouraging content creation within your company as well. So if there's people that are interested in authoring blog content, or speaking at a company event, or hosting a roundtable for clients, like encourage that and get them, help them get their voice out there. Yeah, I think promoting curiosity is a massive one, asking questions, thinking critically, celebrating different perspectives around the team, and discussing that and sparking conversation with the team around that. And then the biggest thing is that training element. And I think the more we feel confident in something, the more we're going to do it, and want to do it and have that investment. So yeah, connecting your team with the right support to teach them how to do it and do it well. It's well worth the investment.
Those are really great tips in terms of how do you empower your team to take that next step and really get out there and share the story, their story, and the brand's story in an authentic manner. So those are definitely some tips I'll be taking away, and I think everyone here that's listening can apply a couple of them and take those forward as a next step out of this too. So thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate it.
Of
Um,
course.
Next up, I want to kind of touch on uh, when you're evaluating the impact and reach of content, what has made more impact for businesses? Are there particular common threads that you're finding that in B2B there that are just really performing well? When it's like AI generated or human produced content that you're just, feel pretty good and confident about like doubling down on, people should be actually exploring more.
Yeah, and again, well, I mean, video is a huge one that we just touched on, that you just mentioned. That's I think video is LinkedIn in particular is pushing video heavily at the moment, and I think for those who are willing to push themselves to do video, I think that's working really well, and they're seeing a lot of engagement. And again, it's because you have that person to person almost connection whilst you're watching somebody on video. And I think it goes back to the authentic content, right? That's based on lived experiences, real conversations, genuine understanding of buyer problems, and how to speak to that person. That drives higher engagement rate. And I see it when I'm working with clients. The ones that drive that resonance and drive that emotion, that's what make people want to react and to comment and share. I think in terms of metrics, a lot of people, it's easy to track like likes and comments and things like that. But I also think, setting expectations from the start of, what do you really want out of this? What do you want to track? Do you want to, broader business impact in terms of, do you want to be generating more leads? Are you wanting to expand the current accounts that you're working in? Are you wanting to retain your current clients? All of the above, it might be. But there's also personal KPIs that the individual might have. So they might want to appear on an industry podcast, for example, or to be connected with certain people within the industry that they've looked up to for a long time, or it might be a promotion. So there's loads of things that come to that. And I think so setting those really relevant KPIs, and sometimes that might mean redefining what that success looks like, but then wrapping them around retention and advocacy and industry reputation. All of these things are important, and there's a long list of possible KPIs that could wrap around those things, but I won't bore everybody by listing everyone.
Well, we appreciate that. It definitely would not bore me. I'm very much into what are my primary, secondary, tertiary, all like leading, lagging indicators, and
Love
just
that.
how do we detail that all out and like ladder that up into the overall objectives of the company, which at the end of the day is typically revenue related. And I think that, sometimes scares people is like, how do I produce this content and like make that connection and that thread between what I am doing and
Yeah.
the bottom line? But there are ways to do that. I think you've gave some like really great like first starts on like how to take that next step.
Yeah, and it's always really difficult to attribute these things, right? But it could be as simple as training your team on how to use UTM so that they can start to track links that they're sharing around branded like releases and things like that if they're supporting that. It might be putting some custom fields into your CRM so that you can, and training the customer success teams and sales teams that when thought leadership or LinkedIn posts or whatever it might be is mentioned, then you add a note and you flag that on your CRM so you can contribute that as and attribute that as a touch point. So there's definitely ways that you can do it. And also the impact on the rest of your marketing channels as well, because it amplifies everything else that you're doing. And so if you can track, okay, we implemented this on this day, let's track all the other channels as well, and where can we see any spikes or consistent growth.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I think we're coming towards the end. I did have a last few rapid fire, more fun, lighthearted questions for you. So we'll
Nice.
take those and yeah, let's do it. What brand do you think is really successful right now and just killing it with their thought leadership content?
Yeah, it's a very good question. There are so many I think that are doing really well at the moment, but one that always stands out that I reference quite frequently is IBM. They train their whole team, I think, in terms of thought leadership content. I think they've been doing it for years by the looks of things, and their employees are at the heart of everything that they produce on branded content side. But many of their experts all over the world on their team have built really large communities on LinkedIn, all off the back of sharing really helpful content to their audience. So yes, I would have to say IBM.
I'll have to look at that. I actually have not checked them out. So right after this, I'm going to go run over and do that. Next question for you. What's your favorite app to consume information, like consuming content?
I mean, I have to say LinkedIn, don't I? I feel like I feel like that's yeah, LinkedIn is my go-to. So I feel like I'll definitely say LinkedIn. But I also have started dabbling with Blue Sky and starting to test B2B reels on other social media platforms like Instagram. So
I think everybody, at least as I get older, I'm like, I'm doom scrolling LinkedIn as like I try to go to bed. Is this a bad thing?
I feel
Um,
like it's common. I feel like so many people do it. But what would be yours? Have you got would yours be LinkedIn?
I think LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is a big one for me. But I will like I'm big into newsletters that I get like, weekly that I'll really deep dive into. And I think a few of those are like Marketing Drive, Lenny's newsletter, which is more product focused. I have so many. I think
Oh,
consume all the information all the time. Like more is more to me. But yeah, those are my top. Do you have like a favorite newsletter as well?
I have a couple. I have I have a few. I can't, the names have escaped me currently as I'm trying to answer. But yeah, I'll have a look. I'll send you a list. But it'd be great if you could also share yours because I'm always like you. I'm always constantly looking for other things that I'm like, oh, where can I, get that inspiration from and soak up that knowledge. So yeah, that would be super
That's a
helpful.
that's a great idea. And when we share this out, I think we'll put in the comments too, maybe our favorite newsletters that people can go and take a look at
Yes,
too.
I love
Um,
that. And please, everybody else, like comment with your own favorite
yes,
newsletter.
absolutely. One last question.
Yes.
What about podcasts? We didn't touch on that. Any favorite podcasts for you right now?
Yes, I am a big podcast person. Love listening to podcasts. There are so many I listen to, but I have probably two in particular that I really enjoy. So that's Beta Better and Blame It on Marketing. So both are run by wonderful people who I have met and are just so lovely and very, very knowledgeable within B2B. But they include interviews on all topics with industry leaders. And so it's really varied and you just learn a lot from listening into it.
Great. Well, I will give those a listen. That brings us to the conclusion. Thank you so much, Robyn. I really appreciate your
Thank
time
you.
and your insights, so helpful and actionable for people to take away. So thanks so much. If you'd like to reach Robyn, you can find her on LinkedIn, or if you need any help in building brand trust for your business, you can definitely check out her website, paperkitemedia.co.uk. Thanks again, Robyn. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Morgan. It's been a wonderful conversation. Appreciate you having me.
Thanks.